I was the biggest Charles Oliveira fan. At one point, he was my favorite fighter. And I'm a little bit fickle with that. Ever since Khabib Nurmagomedov retired, I've been trying to fill that Khabib-shaped hole. Jon Jones kicked off a lot of conversation in the MMA community lately about putting people over. When this whole ducking thing happened, and then after that, when it was made official with the actual retirement, of course, before he unretired, like I told everyone would happen, there was a lot of conversation from all the different UFC commentators, analysts, talking heads of different sorts. We're talking about that's not how you do business. A lot of that came from Daniel Comer, Charles Sonnen. That's the role you got to play when you get a little bit older and you decide that you're exiting the sport. I was talking about it during the Mexican Fight Companion that I have never seen a send-off like this. Usually a retirement happens and it's kind of swept under the rug. Maybe you read about it on an MMA Flunky article. Maybe someone posts something on social media because they don't like their paychecks or they're feuding or they're holding out or they didn't get what they wanted, or Justin Gaethje mad because he's not getting a title shot and then he kind of retires out of it. It's never like this. It's always very unceremoniously, you know? This was different. And I don't think anything even near this has ever even taken place. Let me know if I'm wrong. But there's plenty of other people that I feel like they would have done it with as well. If not, you know, even more. I mean, like people like Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I don't mean to bring his name up right now, right at the same time when Dustin Poirier is retiring and that fool already got embarrassed. I'm not trying to make it even worse because Khabib is somebody that mauled him. I'm not trying to just throw salt on the wound, but I'm saying there are clearly, like Daniel Comer, DC himself. I'm saying like there are clearly people in the sport where if they were going to do this kind of send-off, we would have seen other similar ones, right? Like, am I crazy for thinking that way? I know that Poirier is kind of held in a certain regard, but the only point I'm trying to make right now is there are others that are the same, if not even more, held in that regard, but there's something different that I didn't even, and I feel stupid, I'm embarrassed. I didn't even put it together until after the fight. Toward the end of the fight, I had these wheels kind of spinning, and I was like, you know what? And I was thinking kind of like pessimistically. And I was thinking I could kind of see where this would go if the fight goes the way that I think it's going. But it wasn't until after, when I heard them interviewing Max Holloway and getting some information out of him. We know that Dustin Poirier is a company man. He's a businessman. And I don't want to call a charity a business, but the thing he does with this charity, the stuff he does with this Chile, like he obviously is someone that has a life and a mind outside of fighting and knows how stuff works. And he is the perfect kind of company dude that would pass that ladder down, that would truly thank and give back to that promotion that he kept talking about afterward. He was saying it in the post-fight interview. He was saying it in his tribute that they showed. I'm so thankful to the company. They made me who I am. They gave me my whole life. They gave me security for my family. They gave me everything. They built me into... Everything was there. This was his time to give back to the company. And he passed that ladder down. Max Holloway keeps saying it himself. Poirier could have chose anybody. Anybody. Why would he put on the line? He's up 2-0. Why would he put on the line when he's leaving? He knows how hard a Max Holloway fight is. He knows how bad Max wanted it. Why would he do it against this fool? That's just foaming at the mouth, that's seen red, that wants his revenge, that doesn't want to be all the way down in another trilogy. Before the fight was over, I was telling people in my stream, I bet you they're all going to start coming out to woodwork. The Ilia Tapoera fanboys. And I say fanboys specifically because I like Ilia Tapoera. I like him. You could be a fan of someone without being a fanboy. You know what I'm saying? And that's who I was directing this toward. I was saying we're never going to hear the end of it if he beats Poirier. Because logically, logically, if you look at it truthfully, Poirier is clearly far past his prime. Poirier was in his prime when he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov, which was what, 2019, 2020? That was his prime, like 5 years ago. But Max Holloway losing to Tapoeira and everybody using that as one of the big 3-fight winning streaks that put Tapoeira where he was at. And I was saying, no, fool, just because he packed on a little bit of weight and got some cute little muscles and knocked out a rock'em sock'em punching bag that is Dustin Gaethje, that doesn't mean anything. But then he beats Poirier. Everyone's going to be like, see what? Another dude past his prime? But it doesn't matter. They don't look at it that way. And I started piecing it together. That's what's going to happen if Max Holloway wins. But then after the fight, when he starts getting interviewed by Charles Sonnen, when he's sitting there at the table with Dominic Cruz and that other dude that I could never remember his name, they started asking him about Tapoeira. And I was like, of course. I was wondering what was happening. It felt like one of those... And I feel like it's fresh on the beanie because I just made a video about it. But I felt like it was one of those Illuminati glitches, like a MK Ultra glitch. It was like a UFC glitch. It was a TKO glitch. Did you see the last round of the fight where Poirier basically looked up? He looked up at he froze. Have you seen that clip of Al Roker? Where he's just he froze. He was just looking at the clock. And then he's like, all right, let's go. And then they're going to sock it out. And then he's like, oh, snap, never mind. And then he just hugs him. And in the moment, I was like, wait a minute. But now it makes sense. Dustin was coming out talking to his Theo Vaughn. And he's like, yeah, I thought it was 2-2. 2-2, I was pretty sure. If he thought it was 2-2, why would he have done that? Why would he have paused and just stared at it? Was like he was looking at a UFO. He just paused. He was just staring at the clock. And he's like, all right, let's go. All right, never mind, let's hug. He wouldn't have done that if he really thought it was 2-2 and he was really afraid of losing. But he wasn't afraid of losing. He was passing that ladder down. The round that would have been the most important, he goes. And he didn't fight. And he faded away. And now Max Holloway is in a perfect scenario where he could say, oh, Tapoeira, you don't want to fight again? Oh, you don't want to fight because you think you already beat me? And just like, hey, Tapoeira's kind of smug. The way he talks down on different fighters and he laughs when they ask him, oh, please, I don't want to do that to him. They brought up Volkanovski, oh, please, I don't want to hurt him again. Oh, please, Gaethje, oh, please. Even though I get that one makes sense. But he'll talk down on fighters. And he looks at Holloway like that. Anyone that anyone that he has left in his wake, he's going to be like, I already defeated that. I already conquered that. I don't need to mess with that again. But now Holloway can say, wait a minute. I lost to Poirier twice. I didn't just lose to him once like I lost to you, Tapoeira. I lost to him twice. And now look, I beat him. So now I could beat you too. Anything's possible, right? Making it hard for Tapoeira to say no. They're setting up a rematch against Tapoeira and Max Holloway. It was a company move. Poirier said, I'm on the way out anyway. I got that Chile money. I got that Conor money. And now I got that Dana White power money because he's helping me because I help him. I'm passing the ladder down. And now you got a rematch because Dana doesn't want Tapoeira to go to all these different divisions and keep hopping around. So Max Holloway's finally where he wants him to be at 155, and Dana's trying to bait him right there. All right, hey, this makes sense. It makes sense, but you know what? I want to say something. I think Max Holloway is a good dude. And there are times in these playwrights, where I think both parties are involved, but I don't think Max Holloway knows about this. I think that Poirier knew about it. I think that Dana White knew about it, but I don't think Max Holloway knows about it. I think he has integrity. I like that dude. I didn't want either dude to lose, and I didn't want either dude to win. That's just how it goes. Because if they both lose, then they both can't win, and it cancels each other out. But when they were interviewing Max Holloway, they kept bringing up Tapoeira. That was a UFC narrative. That's what they wanted to implant. It's the UFC's subliminal messaging that's trying to get that. And the reason they want Tapoeira and Max Holloway is because they don't want Tapoeira going around to all the different weight divisions and showing the fans, showing the world that weight divisions are stupid. That a little 145-pound dude could go all the way up and beat Adesanya because Adesanya is trying to get revenge for Volkanovski. And he's going to be like a 5-weight division. And Dana White's going to be like, I can't have divisions anymore. I can't have multiple champions. I can't have multiple pay-per-views. I can't make all this money. It's going to have to be like 1993 again. Open weight tournament. And that's not good for business. So Max Holloway, they start asking him, who do you want next? They're bringing up Tapoeira. They're bringing up Sarukian. They're bringing up Paddy Pimblett. They brought up, I think, another dude that I can't remember his name. And who does Max Holloway bring up? Max Holloway brings up the Brazilian zombie, Charles Oliveira. Now, I've told you repeatedly, I was the biggest Charles Oliveira fan. At one point, he was my favorite fighter. And I'm a little bit fickle with that. Ever since Khabib Nurmagomedov retired, I've been trying to fill that Khabib-shaped hole. You know what I'm saying. And, you know, I've had different favorite fighters. Oliveira, Volkanovski, Rose Namajunas. And I've admitted to you, even though he was my favorite fighter, even when he held the title, even when he won the title and the times he defended it, that was not his prime. He was already past his prime at that point, but he was beating cans. He was beating people that were either past their prime or they were Dustin Gaethje. Rock'em, sock'em, punching bags. And I love Oliveira, except for when his pants are too tight. But aside from like when he does his Gucci thing, I love Oliveira. But he's been past his prime. Max Holloway's trying to get hit. I mean, he was just talking about it a week or two ago, that he's trying to work his way back to Tapoeira. And the first thing that he does is call out Oliveira. Now, there's two different things going on right here. The UFC has their narrative because they want Tapoeira to stay. They want him to be a good little boy and stay where he's at. And they want Max Holloway to fight him. And Poirier said, all right, show me the money. And then he passed that ladder down. But Max Holloway is saying, hey, all you Ilia Tapoeira fans trying to say I'm in my prime, I'm not in my prime. I want to fight someone else that isn't in their prime. I want Oliveira. All of a sudden, now that it's real and he has to actually face the call out, he calls out Oliveira. I just hit my microphone. I don't know if you heard me say Oliveira. Oliveira! And before you start getting all worked up as well, talking about how he just won, the title that he just defended was a novelty title. A fake bout. It's a participation trophy bout. That's what the BMF is. And I like it. I like it that he changed it. It just shows how good of a guy he is. The Blessed Man Forever title or something, that's cool. I like that. But it's a participation trophy title. That's what it is. You guys got to remember that you can't pick and choose when the UFC's fake. You can't pick and choose when it's the WWE, when it's scripted. It either is or it isn't. And tonight, you saw someone thank the company. You saw someone pass the ladder down to further the agenda of the UFC. And that's okay. As long as you know that that's what's happening, that's okay.